Hello and welcome from a very hot Dubai. We're coming to you live a day ahead of that big India-Pakistan encounter, should I say 2.0, because we've already seen one edition of that match happen in this tournament. India came out victorious, but we are going to be in for another treat as India and Pakistan take on each other for the second time in this tournament. This game coming your way on Sunday, and before that there have been injury concerns from both sides. Shahnawaz Ahani of the Pakistan team, the fast bowler who hit a few lusty blows versus India, has been ruled out of the game because of a side strain. Then on the other hand, you had the news of Ravindra Jadeja being ruled out of the entire tournament. In the next half an hour or so, I'll be joined by two cricket analysts in Sunil Gavaskar as well as Harbhajan Singh, who will be joining me live here in Dubai. But before that, let's listen in to what Mohammad Rizwan had to say. Remember, Pakistan produced a dominating performance versus Hong Kong, but their eyes are on that India encounter.
It's the second round of India versus Pakistan in this Asia Cup. India won the first round not without a few jitters too. Pakistan, on the other hand, will have their tails up going into the match, having registered their biggest T20 international victory after bowling Hong Kong out for a paltry 38. So the stakes are high, and if it is an India-Pakistan match, excitement is bound to fly around.
देखिए, इंडिया के साथ सबके सामने है कि एक प्रेशर वाला मैच होता है. पूरी दुनिया एशिया के बाहर भी लोग उसका वेट करती है मैच देखने के लिए, और ऑब्वियसली आपको इंडिया का मैच फाइनल मैच ही लगता है क्योंकि पूरा अवाम हमारे भी और इंडिया वाले भी देखते रहते हैं. मगर अब उसको जितना नॉर्मल रखा जाए तो बेस्ट है.
For India, the biggest headache will be to find an able replacement in the 11 for Ravindra Jadeja, who's been ruled out of the Asia Cup following a knee injury. Jadeja's promotion in the batting order turned out to be a crucial factor in India's win over Pakistan, especially in countering the leg spin of Shadab Khan and the left arm spin of Mohammad Nawaz. Both the spinners picked 7 wickets between them in the game against Hong Kong, so they surely will have their confidence high. For India, KL Rahul's form could be another concern. He failed to open his account against Pakistan, and against Hong Kong, despite playing 39 deliveries, he failed to get going. Virat Kohli is back amongst the runs, and that should be a huge relief to the Indian camp. Virat is the second highest scorer in the tournament so far, behind Mohammad Rizwan, who's had 2 good outings so far, especially in the game against Hong Kong. Pakistan surely would want to exact revenge of the loss they suffered in the opening game, but it is always easier said than done. Also, if the two teams go on to make it to the final, there could be some psychological battles played before the September 11 game.
हम तो वैसे मजाक में कह चुके हैं आपस में कि यार मुझे लगता है ये बेस्ट ऑफ 3 सीरीज ही है, क्योंकि बाकी बहरहाल एक तो क्रिकेट है, होता रहता है. हमारे आपस में प्लेयरों में यही बात होती है कि यार ये मैच आएगा, इंशाल्लाह उम्मीद है कि फाइनल में अगर आएंगे तो ये तो आपस में बात होती रहती है. मगर ऑब्वियसली क्रिकेट तगड़ी करनी है हमने.
It's been long since one saw India play Pakistan twice in a space of 1 week, and the two teams could potentially play another one in 7 days' time. So brace yourself for round 2 of this epic rivalry. Sports Bureau, India Today.
All right, Sunny Gavaskar joins us live on this special program. Sunny bhai, we heard it from Mohammad Rizwan. He had a very interesting take on this. He said, you know, we're treating it as a 3-match series between India and Pakistan. But for that, of course, both teams will have to make it to the final. But what a treat for the fans. You're getting to see India-Pakistan at least the second time. Who knows, maybe the third time in the finals.
Yeah, well, whoever devised this has done a very, very smart thing, because this way, look, the big box office is India v Pakistan. We all know that. And therefore, it was important that if you're going to have a two-week tournament, or a little over the 2 weeks, then you want to use those Sundays, the 3 Sundays, to have India and Pakistan playing. So at least for 2 Sundays now, we've got India v Pakistan happening. And maybe for the next Sunday, which will be the finals, it'll be an India-Pakistan encounter as well.
Sahiba, also the Pakistan team, it was a close game when the two teams played last Sunday. This time around, you think Pakistan getting into the groove the way they dominated against that Hong Kong team, which actually lost by 40 runs to India, but when it came to the Pakistan game, it was a one-sided encounter. So now you think it's a mouth-watering contest between India and Pakistan. Pakistan also peaking at the right time now?
Well, I think it was just the kind of bounce back that a team needs after losing the first game. The margin of the win is such that it will have given the Pakistani team loads of confidence, particularly as far as the bowling is concerned. Look, when you lose somebody like Shaheen Afridi, you are going to feel just a little bit less than your best. But the way the bowlers have done against Hong Kong and against a team where India's bowlers were mauled, particularly in the final overs, that'll give them a lot of confidence.
Okay, Sunny Gavaskar still with us. We'll soon be joined by Harbhajan Singh as well. Meanwhile, all eyes were on Virat Kohli. 2 days before that India-Pakistan encounter, India had an optional training session. But at that training session, you had all the big guns turn up, and Virat Kohli was one of them. And he was, seen practicing with a mask that is a high-altitude mask. Why was he wearing that? This report tells you more. I chanced upon very rare exclusive footage, because this ground right behind me, this is where the Indian team did some fielding drills after doing the net session. And at the fielding drill, I think the standout moment that everyone was trying to capture was that of Virat Kohli running, doing these short sprints, wearing a high altitude mask. Now, for those of you who follow Virat Kohli very closely, you'd remember that we'd seen him train with that high altitude mask, but previously that was done while he was in the gym, either running on the treadmill. So he has done this drill before. For the first time, we saw him do at a training session right here at the ground. Now, for the uninitiated, what does the high altitude mask do? Well, it creates an atmosphere like you're training in a very high altitude. And what happens in high altitude? You have very less oxygen, so it's not easy to run. That's why whenever anyone travels to a high altitude area, you're always told to acclimatize to that situation, because your body is not used to the thin air, the very thin oxygen that is available there, and your lungs aren't used to it, so you're asked not to do any strenuous work. But this is artificially created, the high altitude area, by wearing that high altitude mask. What that does is the oxygen supply is limited, and then he was doing those fast sprints, which then the lungs demand oxygen go in. But if you're reducing the oxygen, it teaches the lungs, or prepares the lungs to be stronger, your breathing muscles to be stronger, in which case when you get full supply of oxygen without the mask, they can perform better. We've seen these kind of drills being adopted by a lot of middle distance runners before that. We've seen top level athletes in other international sports do it. Famously in tennis also, we've seen a few top tennis stars do it. So this is a common thing. Top sportsmen do it. Virat, up until now, we had seen him do it in the gym. Today he was doing it in the practice session. So that's one visual that really stands out. Other than that was that of Yuzi Chahal. He was also doing a very interesting drill, and I say interesting because if you remember, during the game versus Pakistan, a very crucial cotton bowl chance was missed by Yuzi Chahal. So today, what was he doing? He was bowling the delivery, and no sooner did he let the ball go out of his hand, the fielding coach would hit a ball towards him so that he could catch. So maybe that is a way of getting his reflexes better. So as soon as he throws the ball, there's another ball that is thrown at him so that he can catch by the fielding coach. So it improves your reflexes, gets you better right after leaving that delivery, that you're ready to take a catch. So that was another interesting drill that Ravindra Chahal was doing in the fielding session. So that's how the Indian team is gearing up for what promises to be a very exciting Super 4, because you'll have big games coming up one after the other, and the Indian team wants to be on top of its mark. Nikhil Naz in Dubai for India Today. All right, we're coming to you live from Dubai. Alongside me, the man who needs no introduction, Harbhajan Singh. Bhajuba, we're just showing our viewers, Virat Kohli yesterday wearing that high altitude mask, training. We know that in terms of fitness, he is A+, right? As far as his batting is concerned, what have you made of it? We saw him get 30 odd in the first game, improved it to a half century. You think he's getting back into the groove?
See, he is trying to get back into the rhythm. I mean, he batted nicely, but it was a bit too slow. But yes, he's coming from a lean patch, and of course he need bit of time in the middle, and more runs he'll get, he's going to get the confidence back, and those range of shots we'll get to see once he'll be playing freely. At the moment he's still trying not to get out. When he was Virat Kohli, batting like Virat Kohli, he wasn't really afraid of getting out, and now I think that doubt is still there, that I have to be very selective by playing right sort of shots. So I think more runs we're gonna see him gonna get better. But at the moment, yes, at least we have bit of relief that he have done slightly better than what earlier was the position.
Sunil, a very interesting point that Harbhajan makes here, that he feels that sometime maybe he's a bit afraid of getting out. But do you reckon these 2 knocks that he's got under his belt, he can now, maybe is the time where he can start playing a little more freely, as Bhaji mentioned that he would like to see Virat play? Or do you think because it's a crunch game versus Pakistan, it may not be just free yourself from those shackles?
Situation, son. Everything has got to be dictated by the situation. Whatever situation he goes into bat, that's how he has got to adjust his batting. That's what everybody would like to see him do, because that's exactly what the team would also need. But I think more than that, I think we have to be a little bit more concerned about the form of the opening batsmen. They have to get India off to a good start. That will make things easy also for Kohli, because then he can come in and start playing shots from the word go. If the openers bat for say 10 overs or 12 overs and put maybe 70, 80 on the board, then I think it makes it easier for the batsman coming down. So I think more than one person, I think we've got to be concerned more about the opening batsmen, because they haven't got India off to the kind of start that we want them to get the team off to.
Interesting point Sunny Bhai makes there, Harbhajan. He's saying that, okay, Virat, yes, we have to look at his form, but the one area where you need to be a little bit more concerned is the openers, not getting you the starts that you really want them to, give the Indian team. Rohit Sharma, we saw last game, got a quick fire 30 odd, but KL Rahul, his form has been a bit of a concern. Yesterday was optional practice, everyone turned up, not KL Rahul.
Well, obviously, we would like to see KL scoring runs, in the same manner what we have seen him, in the past. But of course, not to forget, he's coming from injury, and it takes time for any batsman or a bowler to get into the groove. And I have no doubt that KL will be batting like KL Rahul, as we know, how well he can bat. And other day it was a slow inning, but yes, everyone needs time in the middle, and not to forget he's also a human. He's trying his best, and I'm sure these are the games actually will build his confidence. Against Pakistan, I'm sure they'll be little more charged than the last game against Hong Kong, and they'll put up a better show, even better show than what we have seen so far.
Now, Sunil, news coming in from both camps. Of course, Ravindra Jadeja was ruled out of the entire tournament. That happened a day before. Today, news coming in of Shahnawaz Dasani, the fast bowler of Pakistan, who hit a few lusty blows versus the Indian team. Who do you think is going to miss more as far as the two teams are concerned? Will Pakistan miss Shahnawaz more, or India going to miss Ravindra Jadeja?
I think India will miss Jadeja a little bit more, because, look, he's an all-purpose player. He can bowl, he can bat, he can field, he can effect run outs, he can take unbelievable catches, he can save runs. So I think while Pakistan's bowler is going to be, you're going to think of him only for those 3-4 overs that they're going to miss him having a ball. But with Jadeja will be in the game. It's always in the game when the team is fielding for 20 full overs. So he's going to be missed. And look at the way he came in and batted the other day. He was given up the order, put up the order, and he came and played such a fine innings.
Okay, Sunny Bhai says that of course India are going to miss Jadeja more than Pakistan will miss Shahnawaz. In terms of now with no Jadeja there, what does this do to the Indian 11? One area of concern is going to be, I know Akshar Patel is a like-for-like sort of a replacement, but he's not here. I don't know whether he'll be here in time available for that. But you have a lot of spinning options. The reason or the worry is going to be, with Jadeja you could send in a left-hander up the order. He could bat in the top 4. Now you will not have a left-hander or the option of sending one up there. Does that then increase the chances of Rishabh Pant making it to the 11?
Well, if you're looking for a left-hander to replace with the left-hander, and Rishabh Pant is your choice. But, I think Akshar, whether he's here or not, with all due respect, Jadeja is very, very ahead. And I don't think he'll be able to go out there and bat at number 4 and 5 and do what Jadeja can do, and coming to your point, that we have to see, what is more important, whether you want to replace Jadeja with just R. Ashwin, who can give you 4 overs definitely and probably a few wickets as well, with the ball in his hand, and let someone else come in and do the job at number 4. Maybe have a floater like R. Ashwin, what Rajasthan did, you know, and why not? You know, these are the times when you can try out the new roles for different players, and this is the time. I think
So just to
R. Ashwin, maybe if I have to pick, I would pick R. Ashwin. Maybe we have one lesser batsman, but guaranteed you have 4 overs, you know, champion bowler, he can get you wickets.
Okay, so I understand for that spinner of that Ravindra Jadeja brings in, the spin of Ravindra Jadeja, you've got R. Ashwin, I understand. Now you're okay with no left-hander in the top 4,
That's
or
all fine.
do you bring Pant for, let's say, DK?
See, it doesn't matter. You know, I think it's just the mindset we are in. You know, off-spinner can't bowl to a right-hander, or right-hander can't bowl to a left-hander. So it's just a mind sort of thing. You know, in the end, you have to bat well against whoever is bowling against you. Simple as that. And we have quality batting lineup. You know, with Dinesh Karthik, he is part of the team, and you know his role is very clear, made by Rahul Dravid, that he's going to be the finisher. Don't change his role. Don't keep on, you know, doing change and chop. You know, one game he's playing and the second game the other guy. Let the team get settled. You know, that's what will bring a lot of success going forward.
Sahiba, your thoughts on this 11? And the reason I talk about that left-hander coming up is that Pakistan have got a left-arm spinner, they've got a leg spinner as well. But as Harbhajan points out, sometimes we get over-obsessed by sending that left-handed batsman. He'd still be okay with DK playing, and it's okay if you don't have a left-handed batsman in the top 4 or 5.
Well, I mean, DK's batting might not even be needed in case our top 4 bat well. And look what Suryakumar Yadav can do.
Yes.
We have not spoken about Suryakumar Yadav at all. We saw what a tremendous innings he played the other day with a strike rate of more than 200. Yet we're talking about having Pant at 4. When here is a man batting at 4 and he scored at this fantastic rate. Yes, it was against Hong Kong, but then the others were not able to score at that rate, were they? So I would think that, you know, you give yourself an extra option of Akshar Patel if he's there. And don't forget what Akshar Patel did with the bat in the West Indies as well. Remember, he won the match for us from nowhere. When we needed about 10 or 12 runs and over, Akshar Patel won the game for India. Do not forget that. So he can be useful because there's always that 6-bowler option. You might not use all 4 overs from him, just like you didn't use all 4 from Jadeja the other day. But as a batsman, as a fielder, again, you know, as a fielder, he's an outstanding fielder. Nice flat throw on top of the stumps. And he is just the kind of all-rounder that you want, because an all-rounder gives the captain lots of options, batting-wise, bowling-wise. I would go for Akshar Patel, and there is the left-hander as well, and he can go up the order if needed when these 2 spinners that are bowling, the leg spinner and the left-hand spinner.
There are very interesting thoughts there by Sunny Gavaskar. He's saying that, you know, you need a left-hander on top to counter the spinners. We're not talking about Suryakumar Yadav, who's a right-hander, and I think plays spin bowling the best probably.
Yeah, I think Suryakumar Yadav is there. Rohit Sharma is a class player against spin, and of course KL Rahul, yes, we are talking about he's not in the form, but I think they are all capable enough to score runs against any sort of opponents or the spinners with the fast bowlers. So I think at international cricket you need to, you know, understand that that's not important. You know, if you have to have a left-arm spinner, then if they have too many left-handers, though you drop your best bowler who is a left-arm spinner. So this doesn't go. I think we have quality in Virat, KL Rahul, in Rohit Sharma and Suryakumar Yadav. They can do the job. They can unsettle any bowler, and you know, it's just a mindset. You know, we have to have a left-hander. What if you don't actually have a left-hander in the team? You know, so don't think about it. You know, just go with the flow and back these players, and I'm sure they're going to come good.
All right, the game that India and Pakistan are going to be playing will be played in Dubai, but at the moment the stadium that is the talk of the town is the stadium in Sharjah. The game between Afghanistan and Sri Lanka that is being played today is actually making a world record. That is actually making the Sharjah Cricket Stadium the one ground to have hosted most number of international matches. One SCG, that is Sharjah Cricket Ground, going past another SCG, that is Sydney Cricket Ground, in terms of most matches played. And remember, the gap between these two teams, these two grounds, as far as when the first match was played, is about 100 years. So here's a report that I did from the Sharjah Cricket Stadium, reliving all the memories from the 80s and the 90s. Now, if you were a young cricket fan growing up in the 80s and 90s, like myself, then I don't need to tell you what is this structure right behind me. That's right, this is the Sharjah Cricket Stadium and a venue that witnessed some very fine India versus Pakistan encounters. But do you know that this also has a connection with the Asia Cup? I'm here covering the 2022 edition of the Asia Cup. This happens to be the 15th edition of the tournament. India is the most successful team, having won 7 times. But all that started right here at this venue. The very first edition of the Asia Cup, way back in 1984, took place here. India won that, the first of the 7 titles that they will go on to win. And the very first match of that edition of the Asia Cup was between Pakistan and Sri Lanka, was played here. That was the very first international match also played at this stadium. The very next year, you had the Rothmans Cup, and in that one encounter that most Indian fans would remember, India only got 120 odd batting first and then dismissed Pakistan for just 87 to win a game. And that was a standout performance that was unthinkable at the time because the Pakistan team was very strong. India won that game. And in that game, Imran Khan picked up 6 wickets. He was man of the match, but India won that low-scoring encounter. And then a year later, in the Australasia Cup, 1986, you'd all remember, that's a moment that Indian fans wouldn't want to remember. The 6 by Javed Miandad of Chetan Sharma also happened on this ground. 11 overs he had to defend in the last over, and in the last ball, 4 runs is what Pakistan needed, and that was a intended Yorker, became a full toss. Miandad hit it for 6, and then that is one moment that Chetan Sharma, who's now the chairman of selectors, has spoken about various times. But the one moment that will still give you goosebumps even while I'm sitting here was that Desert Storm inning that Sachin Tendulkar played. He got 143 of just 131 deliveries. That was a game before the final versus Australia. That knock helped India qualify for the finals, and then in the finals, which was on Sachin Tendulkar's birthday, 24th of April, he got another fantastic 100 and India won that tournament. But the knock before the final, Desert Storm, also happened on this ground. So many memories associated with this stadium. We started the story of the Sharjah Cricket Stadium from the very first edition of the Asia Cup, and we'll end this story with the current edition of the Asia Cup, because in this edition, this ground can create a new record. Now remember, in terms of most ODIs played, this ground is #1 with 244 ODIs. No other stadium even comes close to that. The one behind this is miles behind at close to 160. So that's how much the gap is. But in the overall context, in terms of most international games played, as of today, Sharjah is at 279 while the Asia Cup is on, and the #1 position is with the Sydney Cricket Ground with 280 international matches. This ground still has 2 more games to host in this Asia Cup, which will take its tally to 281, making it the ground that has hosted the most number of international games, even a step ahead of the Sydney Cricket Ground. That will be a momentous occasion for this ground. And remember, in Sydney, cricket has been happening, international cricket, from the 1880s. International cricket here started 100 years later in 1980s. That's how fast, the development here, or the amount of cricket that has been played in this historic ground called the Sharjah Cricket Stadium. This is Nikhil Nas signing off from Sharjah for India Today. So a new record for the Sharjah Cricket Ground. Saibhai, when we talk about the journey of Sharjah, it started from 84, the first game of Asia Cup. But many wouldn't remember, it actually started from an exhibition game that was Gavaskar 11 versus Miandad 11. That's what actually got the organizers thinking that there's a lot of interest here. Let's have international matches. So you have a teeny bit of credit that you can take for the success of Sharjah?
No, I don't think I can take any credit. The credit has to be given fully to Mr. Abdul Rahman Bukhatir, Asif Iqbal and Qasim Noorani. Abdul Rahman Bukhatir was the main man who wanted cricket in Sharjah, and then Asif Iqbal and Qasim Noorani, who were his able lieutenants who organized the matches, made sure that the ground was ready, the pitches were good, and we had some exciting matches there, not just between India and Pakistan, but between India and Sri Lanka as well. And great memory, because the first ever Asia Cup was played there in 1984, and I happened to be the captain of the Indian team that went on to win. how I
Yes.
became the captain. The story behind that is for another time. All the drama that was that's for another time. But the end result, India winning, was most important. And happy to be part of that.
All right, Sahiba, we'll catch you some other day. Narrate that story about how you got the captaincy a year before Kapil Dev had won the World Cup in '83. But that's for another day. For the moment, we're building up to that big game, India versus Pakistan. Continuous coverage will continue on India Today on that Super Sunday. So don't forget to tune in. For the moment, this is Nikhil Naz signing off. Bye-bye.